So I think I'll get started. I think a few more people might be trickling in. I'm Steve Murray, I'm the head of school. Thank you all for being here and thank you for coming. I shouldn't be shocked when we have a beautiful day like we have that an indoor space, when the headline speaker is the head of school, I shouldn't be shocked that it's not packed. I realize it's much more interesting to be outside with your children. So thanks to you for coming. I'll try to make this interesting and engaging and worth your time. And I'll go through a few things. I want to give a little bit of an update, kind of a few comments on how the start of the year has been, but also if you have questions, if there are things you want to offer or things that I should hear, we'll do some Q&A towards the end. So just to get going, I think back where we were a year ago, and I think about all the uncertainty without vaccination and really still learning day by day about COVID and what it took to open the school a year ago. It feels like we're in a whole different place. So a year ago, we were doing all the arrival testing. We were improvising to create spacing in classrooms. Classrooms felt real different. We were doing hybrid teaching, so it was a lot of adjusting we had to do. I think we made it work well. We learned a lot as we went. By the time we hit spring last year, we were really hitting our stride. Outdoor athletics, I think, was kind of a game changer for us. That was really, really great. And as we got to the very end of the year, again, it was a heavy lift all year long, but when you saw the smiles on kids' faces of graduation and our prom and kind of graduation, it really made it all worthwhile. And one thing I said to a group of parents last night, any young person who has lived through what we're currently living through and realizes that there are no guarantees, and I feel like our students are about the most unentitled young people I've come across, and they appreciate the positives and they roll with some pretty challenging moments. So I really, hats off to our kids. But anyway, last year and last spring was a real time for us to learn and really understand how to run a school under adverse conditions. This year it feels real different, and I'll talk a little bit more about why, but as we kicked off the year, one of the things I said to the faculty is, we've done this before and we've actually gotten pretty good at it, and we can do it again. We feel optimistic for a lot of reasons. Part of it is our approach. We've been testing the entire community twice a week, so we have really good data for the first 8 weeks of school, more or less. We just this week moved to once a week testing for the entire community, still doing some student groups twice a week. So students who are involved with off-campus travel teams or certain kinds of community service, students or adults who are unvaccinated are still getting tested twice a week. But we still have robust testing going on. We are a highly vaccinated community. 99% of our faculty, 98% of our students, and the vast majority of our staff are all vaccinated. So that helps dramatically. And we feel ready. I don't anticipate this, but we feel ready and prepared to pivot if we have to, pivot quickly as we watch prevalence in the area. It's moving in the right direction now, which is great news. It's knock on wood. That's all good, but we're watching it carefully. We are prepared we have a number of levers we can pull if we have to adjust. And again, I'm not anticipating. I think a lot of things are moving in the right direction right now, and I'm quite optimistic. But if we had to increase our surveillance testing, if we had to curtail off-campus travel, if we had to shift to grab-and-go dining, there are a number of things. We can go back to Zoom classes for a short period of time if we had to, long short of shutting school down. So we feel well-equipped to keep things going, and again, I don't anticipate those kinds of measures, but we're ready if we have to. So with that in mind, and with that preparation and that mindset in mind, we had a tremendous kickoff to the year. That's on the left, you see a group of football players moving in a kid's sister. There are some volleyball players on the right. We had our field hockey during preseason out on our brand new turf complex. If you haven't been out to the Getz Sport Turf Complex, it's worth a look. We've got new bleachers. It's got a terrific kind of facelift. We had a lot of energy on girls soccer. There's the head of school giving a little pep talk to our boys football team, trying to get them ready for their first game. We brought in a whole host of terrific new faculty members. I hope you've enjoyed your conferences with your sons and daughters teachers today. Really feel good about the new faculty we brought in. We had an absolutely raucous House Olympics, and if your son or daughter hasn't told you about House Olympics, or if you haven't experienced it or seen it, it really has to be seen to be believed. There's Annie Katz, our school president, coming in with the House Olympic torch to get things going. It just, it's from start to finish. It's loud, it's spirited. The kids really kind of let off a lot of steam, and a lot of house loyalty and house spirit is really developed in a lovely way. This was the hula hoop contest. I spoke to a couple of parents about this last night. This was our second to last event. I didn't think anyone, I thought hula hoop was like my childhood in the 70s. I didn't think any kid knew. I thought this is going to be over in 3 minutes. Each house got to have 3 students doing it. 35 minutes in, they were still doing it. And the cheering hadn't died down. I thought, where did these kids learn how to hula hoop? But it was actually really, really fun. We finally had to stop it because they were just going on and on and on. And the boys too, it wasn't just the girls. It's really funny. So a lot of spirit, a lot of good energy, and just a really great kickoff to the year. We had our Convocation, which is a spirited event, but not nearly in the same way, slightly more solemn event. The head of school gave an absolutely riveting speech, by all accounts. We also give out a number of house cups. The house awards are highly coveted, and so it was kind of fun to distribute those. And one of my favorite aspects of Convocation this year was a beautiful Sunday afternoon, late afternoon, and after the headmaster finished giving his talk and after the house awards were distributed and we ended it and processed out, I went back to my office to clean up a few things and do some emails, and I was heading home for dinner about almost an hour later. And as I walked past the circle where we had been, I would say 2/3 of the student body were still there, just appreciating a beautiful Sunday afternoon, taking selfies. I got pulled into a bunch of selfies with some of the kids, but it was really kind of a lovely moment. And it was evident how much they were appreciating being on campus. We've kicked off fall athletics, interscholastic athletics. We're off to a great start with all our different programs. That brings a lot of spirit and energy to campus, of course. We've got girls soccer and water polo, all kinds of great things going on. Our Big Red Farm had a great summer. We have student interns who spend part of their summer working on the farm, and then a lot of our students, in lieu of an athletic commitment, will work on the farm in the fall. And so we've got this great farm to table program with our dining hall, which is really wonderful. Our dance program is going gangbusters. I understand by the end of the month we're going to have our first of 3 Dance Fever recitals. Can't wait for that. Tons of energy when we have our dance program performing. And if you haven't seen The Addams Family, the Periwig production, the fall musical, which I saw last night, I highly recommend it if you have time tonight to go see it. It is just a hoot. It is so well done, so well performed, great music, and the kids themselves just look like they're having fun up there on stage as they're performing, so lots of fun there. So lots of spirit this fall, and really great start to the new year. So we're really, really pleased to kind of convey all that to you. Other things that are part of our momentum this fall include our strategic plan around diversity, equity, inclusion, which we crafted over the course of last year and launched in the very end of the year in June. It is built around 3 organizing concepts: belonging, building, and becoming. So the idea of creating a sense of belonging for everybody, building the community we really are aspiring to be, and then really how we launch our young people, how we help them become who they're meant to be as they go off into the world with a sense of responsibility and a sense of making a difference. One of the things that I really like about how we approached it was, instead of looking at it as some kind of a progressive agenda, we really looked to our mission, to our enduring purpose, and looked at some of the core values and enduring values within the school to frame why we would work on some of these initiatives. So language straight out of our mission, language around leading a life of learning, a life of integrity, a life of high purpose, inspiring the best in each to seek the best for all. That's all language out of our mission, and that really provides the framework and the rationale for a lot of what we're doing around diversity, equity, and inclusion. We have a new Dean of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement, Cameron Brickhouse. She'll be speaking later this afternoon in this space. She comes to us from Andover. She undergraduate at UVA and graduate school at Penn. She's a force and going to be a terrific addition to our faculty. One of the projects for the plan is the Hutchins Center for Race and Social Justice, and that's already up and running. And our thinking as we were working on our strategic plan last year was not to spend a year planning, roll it out, and then say, okay, everybody, we'll get back to you in 10 months with some initiatives. There are a number of things we knew we wanted to do, so even as we were crafting the plan and refining it, we were already working on some of the initiatives that we knew were going to be a priority for us. So we've launched our center, It's focusing on scholarship and research, student internship activities, so to speak. It's very much parallel to other student fellowship programs we already have. We have a student program in math and science and sustainability and archival research, so this will fit right in with that. So there will be a scholarship and research aspect to it, some experiential learning for our students, the opportunity to work with scholars who are working in these areas, and then some elements of community engagement and community involvement. So that's really what the center is based on. We've hired Zahir Ali, who worked under Skip Gates at Harvard. He is the inaugural executive director. He's already hit the ground running, and looking forward to seeing how the program develops with Zahir. Our Groos Center for Art and Design is back in full swing. It was a big part of the year last year, and kids are drawn right back into it this year, so really exciting to see what's going on there. If you haven't been in it, I recommend you taking a walk through. It's a state-of-the-art STEM or STEAM center. We're really proud of it. It's terrific spaces, traditional wood shop and metal shop and assembly rooms. There are also digital design areas and 3D printing, so all kinds of opportunities for kids to be creative. There's one of our 3D printers working. This is an example of the kind of curriculum that is spawned by this. So this is our Lewis and Clark course. My son took it last spring at the end of his fifth form year. It's a project-based course where you're studying the history of Lewis and Clark and their early encounters with Native Americans as they moved across North America. But also the project piece of it is to build a canvas-covered wood canoe. So this is the canoe they built. It was built entirely by the students. They shaped their ash ribs in a kind of a steam chamber. We have cedar planking that they put in place. There are ash thwarts. They stretch the canvas around it. I don't know how many coats of paint were put on, but it's in the lobby of the Groos Center now if you walk through there. So it's worth having a look at. It's quite beautiful. That was a student project. Allison Hayworth last spring built a hammock for McClellan House. She couldn't find a place to string her hammock. There are no trees close enough, so she said, I want to build a stand. So Rex Brody got to work with her. There's Allison coming out of softball practice, missing dinner, I think, to work on her stand. Sam Boston built a classic Fender Telecaster guitar. We had a student working on an electric car. There's some great spaces for other kinds of things. So our African Drumming Corps has been using Groos Center for some of their work and some of their rehearsals. So lots of energy going on in the Groos Center, and lots of great opportunities for kids to get creative. And then there are other projects going on that have a longer timeline, but are really on time and on budget. I knock on wood again when I say that. So this is a picture from last spring. So this is, just to orient you a little bit, this is Irwin Dining Hall right there, where you may have had lunch today. This is all within the construction. So this is all new construction, obviously. This area right here will be our new dining commons. This is our pool. You can see it's all been poured there. This is going to be our hockey rink, our ice rink right here. This is the existing building. People keep asking what's going on there. Parts will be taken down. This is our existing ice rink, which will come down. We have a pool on the far side over here, which is going to come down, but the main indoor track right here and some of the wrestling areas and other support, our squash courts will all stay. And our decision to keep the indoor track was partly because we thought it was a tear down. The roof needs to be replaced. All the systems are 70 years old, so it really needed a lot of work. But we had a structural engineer come in, look up at the steel trusses and say, this looks like Bethlehem steel. You'll never get this steel again. Why would you tear this down? And so got us to thinking. And so we're preserving the heart and soul, or the bones of the building. So the track will be renovated entirely. It'll look like new, but we'll keep some of the existing structure. And I think it's a great decision. Once the dining and the new rink and the new pool are done, which they'll open next fall, Irwin will come right down, like the next day, and we'll get to work to finish phase 2, which will be open in the fall of 23. So we're on a tight timeline, but again, we're on time. These are some recent pictures. So this is looking at the side of the building. We're looking at the side of dining right there. This is looking at dining from the side of the crescent. So I've got Kirby House right behind me as I'm looking right here. This is the walls are going up here. This is inside the rink. Now it's got a full roof on it. On the left, this is the pool on the right. Again, the roof is in place. The walls are going up. This is even more recent. This is the brick cladding. So I shouldn't even say cladding. This is the brick walls that are now being put in place that are going up. It's a certain kind of a highly baked brick that has a natural mineral in it that when it's highly fired, there's kind of a glaze that forms on the outside, a natural glazing that forms. It catches light in a really interesting way. It's supposed to be beautiful in the sunlight as you walk around, so that's going to be one feature of the exterior. This is our Design 2020 group. It's a student group that's been involved, and they've passed the baton year after year, but it's been going for about 3 years now. It's a great group of kids. They have worked closely with the architects over time during the design phase and given a lot of input to the architects. So we've had important student perspective on a lot of the design that has been developed. Here they are with Pete Devine, who is our head of, he's my chief operations officer and does all of the project management. He's really, really good at construction management and just knows what he's doing. He's a fantastic asset. There they are looking down into the pool. And there's the group again. So really great to have student involvement. And then I'll go quickly over these, but if you haven't seen these images, they're on the website, but this is what will emerge when we're all done. So this is the front entrance, called as the Harkness Courtyard. This is just inside the front lobby as you come in. This is the new dining commons, primarily for Crescent, Circle and Crescent, and also the second form. And there's the new basketball court. I'll give you an example of how students helped us think through the design. So to excavate down and have you walk into the basketball court on grade and look down, I like that look and feel, but Pete, my operations guy, said, that's about another $1 million of cost to excavate down so deeply. But we talked to students and we said, if you were entering the court on grade and you had to walk out in front of the entire, all the spectators, a packed, stands, looking for your friends. Let's say you're a new second former and you're looking for your friends where you're going to sit and you don't want to look awkward in front of people. Would you prefer that? Or would you like to enter from above, look down, see where your friends are, decide what your strategy is for going down to have a seat, and then kind of take your time and then make your move? And I said, if that's how an adolescent thinks, let's make sure that helps us shape some of the design. So really helpful to hear kids thinking. That's our fitness area. That's what will be our new rink. There's our pool, 8-lane pool. The pool has a movable, raisable deck, so it'll be all deep for competition for water polo and swimming, but we'll have a deck that will rise up to create a shallow end so we can do instructional swimming for the community. That's the bridge that'll connect the new construction on the left to the existing renovated construction building on the right. And this is what the current indoor track will look like once it's renovated. These are images of those fans. Any of you may be aware, but those fans, when I call those big ass fans, it isn't just because they're big. That's actually the brand name. Those are called big ass fans. That's the name, and they do a tremendous job moving air in spaces. So when I'm not just being facetious when I refer to our big ass fans. And I'll just end that piece by reminding everybody, if you're not aware, that the notion of the field house and the dining commons is part of creating a new anchor to campus, but also that these are just renderings, speculations, but the idea is we're going to build a ring road around the entire perimeter of campus and take cars out of the center of campus. So the bowl would become really a pedestrian space when all is said and done, and really return it to kind of the human community and not have it be like a parking lot, which some days it feels like that. And I'll just end this by saying that a lot of what is driving our ability to do these kinds of things is a capital campaign, which has got great momentum. I've got a terrific team working on that. We've raised $369 million on the way to 425. We will get it done, and it'll be the largest capital campaign ever accomplished, ever pulled off by a secondary school ever. I'm sure someone will try to beat us quickly, but we will. We are very proud of where we are in this, and we had a great year last year raising money, and the Lawrenceville Fund, the annual fund, was hugely successful. A lot of support from a lot of people, so we're really grateful for that. And I'll end by just saying that we do this because of the students and how much they get out of it, how much they appreciate and take advantage of this environment. So it's what drives our work, and I thank you for being here today. I thank you for entrusting us with your sons and daughters, and really just glad to have you all here for Parents Weekend. So I'll pause there. That's what I wanted to convey. I don't want to keep you in here for longer than you need to be, but if people have questions or comments, I'm happy to hear your questions and have a bit of a conversation with you. Yes, please. It's great. The question is around whether COVID has influenced our design for the, I would say not entirely. We certainly have a lot of, there are two very large courtyards that we plan to use and have developed, and that was part of the original thinking. I will say that our whole understanding of the importance of air handling and air filtration has changed, and so all of our buildings, especially the new field house, but all of our buildings, KAC, Mem Hall, they all have my new vocabulary, MERV 13 filters, which are effective at filtering out COVID. That's all supplemented by HEPA filters, kind of portable units. But our understanding of air quality and air handling has changed dramatically, and our focus on that will definitely stay with us for the foreseeable future. Yes, please. In the ice rink. The question is about the old fireplace in the rink. There's a lot of emotion and a lot of sentimental attachment there. I think one of our challenges is that it's structurally, it doesn't quite know which way to fall over, so it needs a lot of work, and our engineers weren't sure if or how to even save it, but we are keeping the stone, and there will be a new warming area with a hearth, and we're going to build, using the stone from the existing fireplace, we'll build the stonework around the hearth. So the spirit of the old fireplace will be retained. Well, it may well be that the fine weather is calling, and there's a question. Yeah, sorry.
We're reading the newspaper a couple weeks ago. They made some comments about turnover at faculty. Do you see a sense for if that's been elevated? Is it by plan? Is that what's been going on?
So the questions around faculty turnover, and I would say, I mean, that is an issue that a lot of schools are contending with, and I think our turnover was slightly elevated last year. If you take a 10-year view, there are kind of ebbs and flows. On balance, our continuity and retention is very strong, and so I'm aware of some smaller schools that have had turnovers of 30 and 40%, and I think there are a variety of reasons for that. We really didn't experience that. We certainly, if you look at the departures, people are leaving for graduate school, they're leaving for family reasons, there are a number of reasons that are understandable. And it may be that a handful of people coming to the end of or at least that phase of the pandemic, we're starting to make life choices that they might not have felt that were as urgent a year or two ago. So there's a little bit of that, but we don't really, and I don't anticipate turnover being a challenge for us. But it's a great question. Well, thank you for coming. I think Marquis is Cameron at 3:15. Do you know? So I believe the next session is at 3:15 with our Dean of Diversity, Inclusion, and Community Engagement. Thank you so much for being here today. Appreciate it. Thanks.